Hello everyone, this is Kyle Warsinski and I'm going to be doing my week 8 presentation for MPA 540 on privacy in the workplace. So the concept of employee privacy within the workplace is a little bit different for public sector employees than private sector, but for the most part the same concepts apply. And that is that privacy at work is not necessarily privacy. When you're on work time, you'll need to abide by the cities or the organization's policies that have been set forth in terms of what you use their equipment for, what you do on company time, and so forth. But this slide really deals with your personal privacy. So how much um, leeway do you feel comfortable with your employer or with outside companies per se that are mining your data? Um, as we all know, we all have smartphones. Some may be aware and some may not be aware that the fact that you have navigation settings on and those types of things, that your cell phone carrier or people are mining your data. Facebook does the same thing. Uber definitely does the same thing. In fact, the Uber company does not actually make money off of ride sharing and those types of revenue sources. They make money by selling our data to larger companies on what our preferences are, what our standard driving habits are, what we're doing in times of those types of things. So that's your personal privacy. As we move into privacy within the workforce and your workplace, things change. Your employer has rights to review what things you do on your computer, what you're spending time on, where you go on the internet, what websites that you look at, whether they're appropriate or not. A lot of times modern public agencies have a software program that limits website access already. So the years of being able to look at eBay or ESPN at a workplace are somewhat limited because they have software programs that run in the background of every computer at a government agency that limits certain keywords or certain topics. So sports is prohibited, games are prohibited, auction sites are prohibited. So if you ever try to access one of those, it gets denied. I'm fairly sure that the IT manager or someone in the administration department will get a tickler email if you habitually try to access sites that are denied. I'm sure there's some sort of setting on the back end of the software that prohibits those things and provides notifications. The other thing, so I put a cell phone on both slides. If you have a government issued or a business issued mobile device, that is subject to different levels of scrutiny and review than your own personal device. So know that if you have two of those things, you should be wary and cautious about what private actions that you're taking on your government issued mobile device. The same thing is true with a government issued vehicle for driving. You should be mindful of where you're going with that vehicle, the perception of parking that vehicle in certain parking lots, as well as parking that vehicle and not or using the vehicle for non work related instances can be considered, and I would agree with it that it is a misuse of government funds if government employees are utilizing government assets for a purpose that isn't related to the work. So why do government agencies or why do private employers have the right to limit our privacy within the workplace? It's all based on performance. They're not paying employees to surf the web. They're paying employees to perform duties and tasks related to the organizational mission and goals. And I rarely would find, or I would be very surprised if I found surfing ESPN as a performance metric or performance goal for an organization, whether it's private or public. Another thing you should know is that they'll have the capability and the likeliness of tracking vehicles using tracking devices, and that's something where if a agency feels like assets are being misused and time is being misspent, they can track that employee's progress. Some cities do it for performance metrics, as in how many parks did this team get to, and how many things did they do this week or so forth, and they can track their timing as well as their routes. Transit organizations use this for the customers in terms of showing them where the buses are, but also it can be used to track the bus drivers' habits, whether they're making wise decisions. If a transit agency prohibits left turns from being made, you can identify whether those turns are being made or they're staying on route. And there's also tracking devices that can report back your maximum speed. So if you find a government employee's car is going 95 miles an hour at any point in time, you can take actions to rectify that situation. So the employers have a right to know what their employees are doing, and oftentimes there are policies set. So that balancing act, when you're out of the office, you have some free time, but be wary of what you post on social media and taking actions that directly conflict with the policies that you agree to for on business time or off business time for the organization that you work for. Know that the business is looking for accountability of their time and the taxpayer money. They're looking for transparency, and it is the public's right to know what is going on with their government agency. In fact, that's why we have transparency laws, Public Records Act, and so forth. So that's really the balancing act that needs to be made. Is you need to understand what policies are in place that apply to your private life, and what things are public and not. So thank you so much for watching my presentation. I look forward to watching all of your presentations, and thank you so much for being my classmates for the past 8 weeks. Talk to you later.